Okay, so here's my Cinevate DUZI camera slider, and I'll talk about it a little bit, talk about the features and my particular rig that I'm using. Okay, lots of times I just use my DSLR, but I wanted to demonstrate with my heaviest camera that this DUZI slider can handle this camera. See how, I mean, you can look, it's a very sturdy design. It's not bowing either way. I mean, it could be bowing a tiny bit. You know, the shots I take with it are really nice, especially when with my lighter camera, the DSLR, which weighs, I don't know, maybe 1/10 the weight of this camera. So let me just show you this monstrosity of a camera that I'm using here. It's as heavy as it looks. It's not a lightweight camera. I don't know, I think it's 7 pounds or something like that, but I mean, look at how butter smooth this is. You don't have to have this fluid head on here, but I like it because you know you can pan left and right while you're sliding. You can obviously also pan up and down. You know, you can really kind of have full motion, and you know, it's not like motion you would get with a jib crane, but it's pretty tight. You know, it's pretty awesome. You could say that I'm running on a dual fluid head system. My tripod that we're sitting on right now has a fluid head as well, so I can move the whole rig up and down. You see how the slider's moving up and down too, and technically we can move the whole rig left and right and up and down. Another thing that I like about having the fluid head up on here is, let's say we decide to take the slider off, so there's a few adjustments I have to make before we do that, but let's say that I decide to take the fluid head off, or excuse me, the slider off the tripod, right? And we want to put it on a solid surface like desk here, and I might have to zoom, I'm going to have to pan down a little bit to show you that. Get my tripod out of the way. Let's say it's just on a solid surface now. Now, without the fluid head being on here, you know, I wouldn't be able to go up and down. And that's the most important thing with framing your shot, because if the camera itself is just sitting on this plate here, which I'm going to show you in a minute, your only option to film is straightforward. It's just very difficult, and I'm sure you can understand why. You might have to just adjust your shot just down just a little bit to frame your shot correctly. You might have to adjust it up a little bit to frame your shot correctly. So having that fluid head option, not to mention the fact that panning left and right while you're on your solid surface is obviously not another huge advantage. So in my opinion, you really want to go with the dual fluid head system. Let me show you what we look like without all the bells and whistles that are on this bad boy. This is all you're getting when you buy the DUZI. This is it. This is all it comes with. I've obviously added everything else. Now, it's important to point out this quick release plate that's right here. I got this off of the top of my fluid head when I bought it. It came with the fluid head. So that's how I attach it, obviously, to my tripod, right? So if you're going to put it on the tripod and you don't buy a fluid head, you at the very least have to use one of your other quick release plates, or you have to buy another quick release plate. Talk a little bit just about the DUZI itself. See if you can see these rollers on here. I think they're like a really hard rubber, or maybe a really hard plastic, but virtually no noise when this thing slides. I mean, you can hear it a little bit, But you compare that to some of those metal sliders that don't have the rollers. Also, I want to point out rubber, let me get it in the frame, rubber stoppers right here. So the wheels actually, if you go too far, the wheels hit the rubber stoppers. You see how it bounces off. So there's no damage done, and it's just a softer landing for the camera if you do go too far. So anyway, I really dig this thing compared to a lot of the other sliders out there. It is only 2 feet long. Once again, if it was 3 feet, you know, they sell sliders that are 4 feet long. In my opinion, you have to get a tripod here and a tripod here to balance the weight evenly. If you just have one in a tripod in the center, you are going to get bowing with something that long. So having something this short, you can use one tripod, it's not a problem, and you're not going to get, well, you might get a little bit of bowing, but not any noticeable bowing in my opinion. They call this like a cheese plate or a Swiss cheese plate. I'm sure you've seen these. I just use the middle, but you can use different sizes, different places on the plate to mount your rig. Something that a lot of people do is they'll take this I don't even know what you call this, handle or whatever. They'll take this thing completely off, and I gotta admit I do that a lot. I take this handle off of my fluid head, and I just kind of on the DUZI I just kind of push this thing back and forth, and it's got a good amount of weight to it, this fluid head. This particular one, it's a Manfrotto, to where you can just kind of push it back and forth and kind of go like this, kind of play it off one hand off the other, like that. And since I'm shooting in 60 frames per second, I slow it down and it's butter smooth. It looks awesome. But that's a really good way to get, that's a good technique that I found to get the same speed throughout the entire shot. You know, you can do, like, the faster the motion, the more constant the speed is going to be, because if you try to go super slow, sometimes you're going to kind of get this motion when you slow it down. You know, if you try to like push it really slow, part of your push is going to be slower than the other part of your push. So to keep it pretty consistent, you know, I tend to either do like this with one hand, or I just kind of play it off of both of my hands like this. I know that's probably not the best angle for you to see what I'm doing, but you know, I kind of do these. But anyway, I hope this answers your questions, and I'll send you the prices on what I got this stuff for. Talk to you later.